Caroline, you should tell them about the newest thing that Bloody Happy Hour is doing.
A Patreon.
It's a Patreon. What is that?
That means you're basically like a VIP member, and there's 2 different levels that you can, subscribe to, and you get some perks. You maybe get like merch a little earlier. You get
exclusive merch.
You could get first dibs on signing up for a live show. You get episodes with no commercials.
You get our video because our video is no longer available on YouTube. It is only on Patreon. And the most important to me is you get videos of our live shows. So if you are far away and you couldn't make our last live show, it will be on the website. We're going to record this future live show. It's going to be on Patreon, but also bonus episodes each month. You guys tell us all the time you want more episodes. This is a way for you to get more episodes. So you're going to get our basic Tuesday, Thursdays that we always put out, right? But if you're on a Patreon, you're VIP, you're going to get more.
I can't wait to talk about in detail some more stories because I always have a lot of details I want to go to. I can law-splain. I might read a book.
They just unsubscribed. This is also going to be the exclusive place that Dirty Chat is going to go to. So if that is breaking some of your hearts, just go ahead and subscribe now. In order to hear the full content, it's going to be Patreon. Where do they go again?
Patreon.com/bloodyhappyhour.
Don't forget to
stay aware,
stay alive,
and always be DTF.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody happy hour.
Hey y'all, this is April.
And this is Caroline.
And what is this podcast called, lady?
Do I diddy dum diddy do?
Are we talking about the diddler?
Did I diddle you or did I diddle him? Wait, what? This is our Quickie episode. And, in our Quickie episode, we talk about what's happening in the news.
And there's some stuff.
And there's a little something that popped off recently in the past few days. It was kind of a big deal.
Can we just say Cat Williams predicted the future?
Did we not call this? I mean, we listened to it. We heard about. We told the people. He told the people, and then we told the people.
They're calling Cat Williams now Prophet Cat Williams.
He is a prophet.
Prophet Cat Williams. So everything he is saying.
I wonder if he just knew, and he maybe tipped him off, and then he pretended. He's like.
Well, what I think is Hollywood knows. Cat Williams was just bold enough to really come out and say it on a
how did he
platform.
know? Okay, when was that podcast? Do we know? I don't remember when it was. But I mean, I think it was anyway, because Cassie's P. Diddy's ex-girlfriend or whatever she was. She came out with her civil lawsuit November 2023.
Okay.
So I don't remember.
It was before that.
Cat Williams. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that.
Cat Williams said his, and then shit just started hitting the fan.
Okay, because I didn't know if she came out with the lawsuit, and then Cat Williams had the interview with Sharp or Club Shay Shay, and then he kind of was like, "Oh yeah, now it's all coming out ever since she did that." But maybe he knew because she was planning on writing a book and all these things, but. Cat Williams be right. All the
So
things.
what is going on? I see it, but I don't know details.
Okay, so I'm not gonna read you the 14-page indictment.
Please don't.
But I'm gonna kind of do a lot of the details of it. So
okay.
So instead of going from a bunch of different cases, we're focusing on this one this week because it's that big of a deal and it's that like intense and there's that many things. There's that many layers to it. I will tell you though that. And the Karen Reed situation and trial, they now have a new prosecutor, so we no longer have Lowley or whatever. So I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad. There's a new prosecutor for the case. It's going to happen in January.
Okay.
Donna Adelson, which was, if you've been keeping up, Charlie Adelson recently was convicted of conspiring to murder his sister's husband, and he was convicted. And then his mom was also an accomplice. His mom is Donna Adelson. She's who is now, she tried to flee to Vietnam on a one-way ticket. They arrested her before she fled. And so they have her and they literally were supposed to start trial tomorrow. And they started jury selection. The first day of jury selection, so Charlie, the son, who was just convicted, and Donna, the mom, are using the same attorney, which is like, there's a conflict because Charlie's going to have to take the stand most likely in her case. And so it's like, it's conflicted because like, how are you going to defend both of them at the same, it's weird. So Charlie, the son, did not waive he didn't sign this waiver saying that, I guess the lawyer, I don't know, he didn't sign some waiver and it screwed everything up. So the lawyer had to resign from the case or whatever you call it. So now we have to wait like 6 more months.
Wait, why was this bitch going to Vietnam? Like, you are an old white blonde woman, right? The picture's like dirty blonde.
She gray. She gray now.
Either way, you're going to stick out in Vietnam. Like, you're going to be the first one spotted.
Apparently, you can't be extradited.
In Vietnam. But I would go to another place.
I do not know who would want to go to Vietnam. No. What do you do there? Who goes to Vietnam for a vacation or for a life? I don't know. But those are the only recent updates I think that I have about any other cases because we've been stuck with P. Diddy. So let's get into it. Diddy was arrested. In case you didn't know, in case you're new here, he was arrested. He appeared the next day in a New York courtroom. I'm going to mostly read some of this because it's just so many things. So we're going to go through the charges and the allegations against him. So he's, if you don't know, music mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs. He has several names.
Used to go by Puff Daddy.
We'll talk about all the AKA names. He was arrested at the Park Hyatt Hotel on West 57th Street in New York City. Prosecutors allege that he ran a criminal enterprise through his business empire and engaged in crimes including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. That's a lot of shit that you've been doing. So the federal indictment says that Diddy was charged with racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He was recently, he got, all these lawsuits coming out. So Cassie's came out, which was, he dated Cassie for 10 years and basically tried to make her a big, huge star and a name.
She had some great songs and then it was done.
Yeah, I think because he just kept drugging the shit out of her and beating the shit out of her, and so she couldn't.
And then she probably had to be excommunicated from the industry because he ran it all. So once you turn against him, you're not allowed.
Well, and what happened was I think it was she got a trainer, or he got him there was a trainer that came in, and she started hooking up with the trainer, and then she finally got away from Diddy. Got with the trainer, and now they have 2 kids, and I think that they're
she's happy.
But she's so beautiful. She looks like Zendaya. Zendaya.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, multiple lawsuits have come out claiming all of these things. And what was the interesting thing was whenever Cassie's lawsuit came out is that he immediately paid her off, and he does not pay off anybody. Like he does, like he's very,
because he knew.
Yeah. So he paid her off ASAP. I think there was the most recent of the lawsuits come out like a week or two ago. So they've just been ongoing.
So did he pay her in the beginning, kind of after it happened, like hush money, or he paid her after? Because why was she quiet for so long?
I don't know. I don't know what gave her the balls to do it. I don't know.
Cat Williams.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But she just grew these big, huge balls. Good. And she came up with this. But then and I don't know, because they always say, I always hear NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Oh, you have, but like, to my knowledge, I'm no lawyer, but every contract
has holes.
Yeah. And can be, but I don't know what it is about an NDA that is so like tightly sealed that you literally cannot disclose things, even if it's like criminal stuff. I don't know. But whatever happened, she had no fear, and she came out and she did this, and he paid her like literally the next day because he wanted to go away, and it kind of did until more came out. Then there was this video that was leaked from the hotel room or from the hotel. So this was the video of him abusing her, and they were in a hotel room. She's trying to like flee and escape and get out, and you can see on the camera, it's like by the elevators, that she's like running, and then you see him in his towel.
Yes.
And he then grabs her by the hair and drags her out of the sight of the camera. And then it shows them in the room, and he's like kicking her, like throwing stuff at her, vases, all this stuff. So apparently this was like a regular thing. And then, like, I know at one point a security guard saw it, called him out on it, was like, I'm not going to keep quiet about this. But then his bodyguards got to that security guard, and then eventually the video disappeared until it didn't. But then what he would do was he would keep Cassie and other people who he did these things to in the hotel rooms for a week or however long until the bruises went away, till they could go into public again. The worst. So he was trying to leave, so she was trying to leave. This is what happened in that video. She was trying to leave a freak off, and I'll tell you what that means in a little bit. Security intervened, attempted to stop what was happening. Diddy tried to bribe the guard. The guard refused. His team got involved. The video disappeared until it didn't, just what I said. So a federal indictment was unsealed against him, and they charged him with 3 felony accounts: racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. It's a lot. So the federal prosecutors are accusing Diddy of forcing victims into these sex acts called freak-offs. These acts are sex acts which he would record for not only his viewing pleasure, but also for blackmailing. The indictment against him alleges that he had vast resources and business associates, that he would lure female victims into his orbit. And they also said that it was under pressure of a romantic relationship. So he would bring these young girls in. He would pretend to be romantic with them, and he would pretend to be interested in them, but then he would lure them in and to all of his sex stuff. He would abuse them, and then he would eventually control them and everything.
And make them screw
the
other people.
Yes. So it goes on to describe the sex performances that were known as freak-offs, where they say he allegedly organized the transportation of commercial sex workers across state lines, which is why it's federal, and also internationally for all these parties. The events occurred regularly. Sometimes they lasted multiple days. They would involve multiple commercial sex workers. Apparently, controlled substances were also a regular part of these performances, and according to the indictment, they were provided to keep the victims obedient and compliant.
Yes, and horny. We talked about all these different
So we're going to drug you, and we're going to make
lower
you like
your inhibitions.
Yeah, we're going to give you X. We're going to give you Coke. We're going to give you
stuff to
MDMA.
make your wee-wee hard.
Yes, we're going to give you the blue pill. We're going to give you all the things. And
Even
by the way,
things
I want you to have sex with that guy, and I want to masturbate while y'all are having sex. So that's called a cuck. C-U-C-K. Cuck. It's called a cuck. Whenever you're the dude and you're watching another dude and another girl, F-U-C-K, that's cuck. Cuckold. Look it up. And that's just what it's called. I'm gonna teach y'all all the things. You know how many times I've listened to this stuff? It's so bad. The complaint says that he kept videos of these people having sex at the gatherings of these freak-offs so that he could blackmail or use it as leverage. Prosecutors say that he required all sorts of things that, he required these he would provide the people with IV fluids.
Oh, the next day.
The next day, because like you've had all the sex, you're drained, you're exhausted, you have all these drugs. Like, let's go ahead. Like, we have IV fluids, we have lubricants. I'll get to that. And we have lighting. Okay, we got to have the good lighting.
Yes.
We can't have
he set
a dark room.
He had it all planned out.
So during these parties, he's alleged to have subjected the victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse. The indictment claims that the victims of his abuse were threatened with a loss of income or even livelihood, because a lot of people are like, what do you mean?
Just now starting.
Yeah, they're like, what? Well, no, they're like, what do you mean these people were forced to do this? Obviously, they knew what they were getting into. No, because it's like, how can you be forced to go there? Well,
first of all, you're
threatening you and blackmailing you.
Well, no, first you're going to a P. Diddy party thinking you've made it.
Yeah.
Right? Thinking you've made it. Oh, I'm going to P. Diddy. You know who's there? Beyonce, Jay-Z. Like, especially if you're just now getting into the business, you're calling up Big Mama, you're calling up your friends, you'll be like, I'm going to P. Diddy's party. You feel like you've made it.
Mm-hmm.
Then here's free drink. Here's booty everywhere. Here is the best party you've ever been to. So you relax because you feel like you've made it.
Yeah, then you get drugged.
Or you choose to take a drug because you're drunk enough to. And then inhibitions get lowered. And if you're not I don't know what I would do if I ever took X, right? If I'm not an X user and the first time I take it, there's no telling what I'm going to do. And I've been drinking.
Ain't no telling.
And there's this great place. I think that's when their inhibitions are at the lowest. Then they engage in these things that feels probably right at the time or great at the time. And the next morning, they're like, what the hell did I do? They don't even remember. And
Hell no, because they've been drugged.
Push play. This is what you did.
And you're like, oh. And then you're like, well, then you feel like it's your fault because you got into yourself in that situation.
No. GBG. What's the drug? Just the drug. Basically, the roofies were part of the drugs that he was given.
Yeah. Pink cocaine is what they called it, which was pink cocaína, which was cocaine plus like ecstasy or MDMA or whatever combined.
And then something that makes their sphincter loose, their asshole loose.
That's why we had all these bottles of lube, baby oil. I'll tell you about that. So he would threaten them with a loss of income or livelihood if they resisted in doing the parties. So then he'd be like, you want to get paid, bitch? Then you'll come over here and you're going to fuck this guy and I'm going to watch you.
Oh, you're talking about the hoes.
Yeah. Like he would threaten them with like, yeah, you're making money.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to keep making money? This is what you're gonna do.
I was thinking like this is how like
it's
he got Usher
both.
And Mary J. I mean,
yeah.
I don't want to say Mary J. But like all these people,
Bieber.
Yeah, Bieber. This is how he got them on video,
and that's why they probably can't say. Well, I mean, they might now. I don't know. So he would he used force to cause victims to engage in extended sex acts with male commercial sex workers, which he arranged, directed, and masturbated to during the sex acts as they were taking place, and that he often electronically recorded. Yeah, so he real gross. Charges against him also alleged he threatened and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, and prosecutors said that this went on for years. They say he created a criminal enterprise whose members and associates all alleged in various crimes such as sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery. A lot of this stuff gets repeated, but I'm going to read it anyways. Following his arrest, his attorneys briefly spoke to the media outside of the courthouse, and oh my gosh, they gave this. They were like, he's a fighter. And I'm like, I don't think that's the best choice of words, because he literally did fight these girls and like beat them up. So you probably should choose different words. But they're like, this case starts today. He's not guilty, or he's pleading not guilty, and he's gonna fight this with all of his energy and all of his might and the full confidence of his lawyers. Blah 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 blah. So dumb. So the counts are the jury. He was indicted by a grand jury. Now this grand jury met, I think it's been about 6 months that they've had a grand jury. That's how much stuff because you're thinking like Cassie's lawsuit came out November 2023, all the stuff. Then he was raided in March. Why was he not arrested? Why was he just now arrested?
So much damn evidence to sift through, probably.
I think that too, but also they had, I feel like they wanted to have like this sealed tight, like they needed to have all their ducks in a row before they went in and did the arrest. So then later on, I'll tell you, like they had several people come forward, or witnesses, or just like all these people who they were getting, I guess, all these stories from and evidence.
They're probably like, here's Meek Mill on this video. Let's go talk to him.
Yeah, Kid Cudi, your car got blown up. What happened? So he was indicted by a grand jury. Count 1 is racketeering conspiracy. It says, for decades, Sean Combs, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, a.k.a. P. Diddy, a.k.a. Diddy, a.k.a. P.D., a.k.a. Love. Bitch, you got too many names. Says that he abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill sexual desires. Also, to protect his reputation and conceal his conduct. To do so, he relied on employees, resources, and influence of multifaceted business empires that he led and controlled, thus creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates attempted to engage in all the things that we said earlier: sex trafficking, labor, bribery, arson, all the things. Sean Combs operated his business headquartered at various times in Manhattan and in LA, and under a variety of US-based corporate entities. So basically it includes Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, Combs Global, which is collectively the Combs business. So it's like all these things are like included in everything in a way, I guess, because all the employees of all these places were involved.
Damn.
Corporate entities in the Combs business included, among other things, record labels, recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business. Was that Ciroc or whatever? What was his like alcohol?
Jay-Z, I thought I had Ciroc.
Oh, well, that's probably connected.
Yeah.
A marketing agency, a television network, and a media company. And at all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs engaged in a persistent and persuasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals. The abuse at times was verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and sex workers to fly to his location. Combs ensured their participation from the women by obtaining and distributing narcotics to them. So basically he's like, yeah, I guarantee they're going to participate in this because I'm going to drug them up. Controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support and threatening to cut them off at the same time, also using intimidation and violence.
Gosh.
So, like, you're fucking screwed.
Here's
Like,
the reality is they would probably have done it on their own. Like, if you're just going to grab women off the streets and say, beautiful women or strippers or whatever, and say, come work this party for me, P. Diddy party, they would probably just have done it on their own.
Would have, yeah.
But he's a voyeur, so he wants to set it up. He wants to watch it.
He wants to
control it. What a gross.
Disgust and disgust. So physical abuse by Combs was reoccurring, widely known, numerous occasions from about 2009, continuing for years. He assaulted women by striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at and kicking them. The assaults at times were witnessed by others and included one instance at a Los Angeles hotel around March 2016, which was captured on video, which is the one that was of Cassie.
Yeah.
Where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman, Cassie, as she attempted to leave. That's the Cassie video we talked about. When a member of the hotel security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. Combs's violence was not limited to these women. It extended to his employees, witnesses to his abuse, and others. So he was intimidating everybody, not just the people he was abusing. People who went, he knew people were seeing it. He knew it was on video, but he's like, I got all this money, I got all this power. What you gonna do? Damn. These employees, including security staff, household staff, personal assistants, high-ranking supervisors, and other close associates, acted as Combs' inner circle, and their conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the Combs business. Around 2008, through now, which was the filing of the indictment, Combs and other known people were members of this criminal organization known as Combs Enterprise. Members and associates of Combs Enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in sex trafficking, labor, interstate transportation of prostitution, coercion, engagement in prostitution, narcotic offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. I mean, gosh, it's like on and on and on. Combs and other members and associates of Combs Enterprises wielded power and prestige of his role, and they used his business to intimidate and threaten and lure victims into his orbit, blah, 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 under the pretense of a romantic relationship. They said that he used force, threats, everything we've already said. And this is how they got these people to engage in the freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate. They were very produced. They were sex performances that he arranged, directed, and masturbated to during and often recorded. And when he was arranging the freak-offs, he used the assistance of some other his employees, basically. He transported and caused to be transported, whatever. He transported the sex workers, so that's like the trafficking part. And sometimes he would do them over state lines, internationally. That's why it's federal. So these are all the trafficking things. The freak-offs occurred regularly. They lasted multiple days. They involved sex workers. During the freak-offs, they would be taking drugs, unbeknownst to the victim. So apparently they were drugged and they didn't know it some of the time. So they drugged them. He kept the videos he filmed of the victims while they're doing their sex acts. And then afterwards, that's when he would provide them with their IVs. Because he's like, oh, yeah, what happened? You
was real drunk.
Let me
hydrate you.
You know what? Let's do this. Let's do this IV.
Drink some of this alkaline water.
Yeah, take this alkaline and let me replenish yourself. Because, I mean, you obviously have some better. I don't know why you've been physically exerted. Like, did you run a marathon? Yeah. Did you just get abused? Or, like, what happened?
Well, meanwhile, their asshole's bleeding and they don't know why.
Mm-hmm. So next, members and associates of this enterprise, including high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and other employees facilitated these freak-offs. They booked the hotel rooms. They stocked the rooms full of all the freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs to try to mitigate any room damage, arranging for travel for the victims.
So
for
it wasn't even at
commercial
his house?
Huh?
It wasn't even at his house?
Nope. I mean, I'm sure some of it was, but this is a lot of it. A lot of the times, I guess they maybe were traveling. I don't know. Wow. But he has all these houses, so I don't know why you had to go to the hotel. But it says hotel rooms. And he would try to mitigate the damage and Then he would be resupplied, and they would delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the sex workers and scheduling IV. So, I mean, he was just...
Wow.
Around March 2024.
That's a lot of logistics.
It's a lot of logistics. You got a lot of hands. So then during the search of his Miami, Florida, and LA home, law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
I heard there was a ton of dildos. Was that just
I'm sure
Twitter memes?
Like could
700 dildos in his house.
It could have been because it's not in the indictment, but... Gosh, 1,000 bottles of lubricant? Oh my. Like that's going to make
to have that much lube, that means that they're not sliding on their own. So you are forcing some stuff. You're doing stuff when folks are asleep, are not totally aware, not totally into it.
It goes on to say that Combs subjected victims to physical, emotional, verbal abuse to engage in these freak-offs. He was in control of them. He was violent with them. He promised them career opportunities. He granted and threatened to withhold financial support. He was saying he was going to track where they were. He would dictate the victim. Oh, he would tell them what to wear. Like that's what he did with Cassie. He's like, you can't wear this. You got to wear this. He's monitoring the medical records. He's controlling their housing. He's supplying them with the controlled stuff. I mean, he's literally running their life. And like you get to the point to where, I mean, I'm like, okay, how do you get in that situation? Like, obviously, it's like you think as a regular person, like, just go away. But you can't because like that's your livelihood.
Yeah.
You thought you were going into this industry and you were going to like make it. You're going to be like a singer.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, well, yeah, I'll come to a party. And then you like get fucking drugged and raped. And then he's like, don't say anything or you're not going to get this paycheck. You need this paycheck. You need this to be, if you want to get somewhere and be somebody, you need this. So don't say anything. So shut up.
Somebody came out and said, I think it was, I forgot what he played. He played
and some people
Big
aren't
Mama's
strong
House.
enough as others, and they do. They're like, oh my God, you're right. But I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I think it's just very hard to.
Oh, it's human trafficking. It's another form because he thinks it's not as bad because he is paying them and they're living a great life and he's helping them with their dreams. But there's like Denzel Washington was telling one of the younger actors that was coming in. He was on Big Mama's House with Martin, and I can't think of his name. I think his first name was Brandon. But he said his first Diddy party that Denzel was there, right? Because they would start off like a great party.
Yeah.
Innocent party. Not the freak-offs, but just like a party. And so Denzel told him, you better leave before the devil gets here. And that was that's what Denzel would always tell all these new people. So Denzel would go, he wouldn't drink, he would leave before the devil got there, which is basically when
Diddy
when the them lights came on, the sun
yeah.
went down, the lights came on, and the prostitutes started running probably. So it's like there was a great vanilla part of his parties where everybody who maybe didn't engage in that would go to. They just knew to leave. So it depends on your personality. Are you going to be the person that's going to leave before the sun goes down? Or are you going to be the one grabbing the drinks because they're free and they taste amazing, not knowing that they got GHB
that they
in
lace,
them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Denzel, he was also the one that was there for Will Smith when he got the slap.
Yeah.
Or when he did the slap.
Yeah.
I love some Denzel. Oh, internet's down. So during and separate from the freak offs comes hit, kicked. Yeah, we already said all that. But okay, so a lot of the times they had the people who he was physically abusing, the injuries took days or weeks to heal. He threatened the victims with their careers and livelihoods, including resisting. He was like, if you resist and you don't want to participate in these freak offs, you're done. You're cut off. You have no job security, and you're basically fired.
Yeah.
So you have to like do this, or you're not going to be able to like be in this industry anymore. And like, yeah, you can go, but then what do you do?
Which there's a list of, not maybe a lot of lists, but a lot of people that have come out that you would hear their names back then. Like Mace and Puff Daddy came out together. Mace decided this was not part of his, like this was not going to be his career. And he joined Jesus or whatever, right? Because it was either I'm going to hang out with Puff Daddy and do stuff like this, or I'm going to not be in the Hollywood industry and I'm going to go to church or do whatever. But there's a list of like maybe one-hit wonders that he cut off.
Oh, yeah.
That now they're like, whatever happened to blank?
So, yeah.
And they were one of the ones that were like, I'm not going to be a part of this. And so their career
ended.
Stop sign.
That is facts. So Combs also used sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating recordings that he made during the freak-offs to use as collateral to ensure the continued obedience and silence of his victims. Members and associates of Combs' enterprise, including Combs' security personnel, at times carried firearms. So on one or more occasions, Combs carried a brandished firearm to intimidate and threaten others, including victims who witnessed the abuse. Around March 2024, during searches of his residence in Miami, Florida, and LA, law enforcement seized firearms, ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, as well as magazine. So,
This is how you know he's a devil. He brought his son and his kids like
yeah,
in
oh
on
yeah,
it.
yeah, and
Like,
they like
so
got
that
his
means
back.
you thought you were doing right, or you were so possessed.
Like this is ingrained in you. Like this is who you are.
I wonder if this is like the beginning of it. Like they'll have their whole like Epstein trial like they did. And then are they going to try to come with other like all the accusations of him putting the hit on Tupac and him the one killing Kim Porter, like his wife at the time, and all these
we haven't even got to
allegations.
any of that. Yeah, exactly. It says he shall forfeit all property, real and personal, anything that was used to facilitate the commission of the said offenses, anything that afforded any source of influence over, just kind of anything that really helped facilitate all these different crimes. It talks about property. It talks about personal effects. It talks about all sorts of different things, basically citing everything under the umbrella. So it goes on to say that goes into the substitute assets provision, blah, 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 blah. And let me skip that. So, okay, here we go. We're just scratching the surface. It's going to be very interesting. And if this goes to trial, which unfortunately, if it's a federal trial, it will not be televised, which is tragic. But if it goes down, a lot more information is going to come out. and the floodgates are going to open. And the fact that they had thousands of bottles of lubricant and baby oil is proof that his associates in the enterprise helped him with all of this. And this has been going on for decades. And especially, okay, it's like, I don't think it's a big surprise, but especially with all the things that we've heard over the years, his involvement with Tupac and his involvement with Jay-Z and all the things, you know, like
and Jay-Z and them killing Aaliyah.
Illuminati and all the higher ups.
Being the gatekeepers.
I don't know if this has have anything to do with Illuminati, but I feel like it do. And it's like, I'm shocked that he's being held accountable, but I love that he is, or like that he's like, they're actually doing something about it finally. So then he tried to get bail, right? And it was like, oh, you got to have like 50 million and you got to have, or that they were offering, they're like, he's given up his passport. His family's given up their passports. He promises not to have any females over. He promises not to, because ever since he was raided, he's been calling and talking to all these other people who are going to be like witnesses. And he's been like, hey, bro, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Like calling on the, and he's like, oh, because the judge initially denied the bail and was like, you're stuck. And then they came back today and they were like, okay, well, what if we do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this? And it's like, no. So this is what I heard today. Over 50 firsthand witnesses who saw the abuse. This is the strength of evidence. We have over 50 witnesses. There's over 90 cell phones and electronic devices. There's over 30 digital devices, thumb drives, security footage, hard drives. There's grand jury. The grand jury sent out over 300 subpoenas for documents. It's been a very active grand jury since the summer. This is okay. What I'm saying now is coming straight from the courtroom because Emily D. Baker, who I listened to on the YouTube, she was actually in New York for something else at the time this went down. So she went to the courthouse and was there listening to the whole thing. Wow. So then she reported. So I'm getting a lot of this from her and what she had said. But she said it was very similar to Epstein, R. Kelly, and Keith Raniere.
Who's that?
Who is that's what I said. And I looked him up. Keith Raniere is an American cult leader who was convicted of a pattern of racketeering activity, including human trafficking, sex offenses, and fraud. But the defense is like, well, all those defendants were held without bail because their crimes included children. And they're like, so he should be let out because his crimes did not include children. So the defense,
feel like Justin Bieber was a baby when it was starting to happen.
Exactly. The defense was saying the freak-offs were consensual encounters. Yeah. This is what the defense says. And this is what Diddy says. And as part of his and Cassie's, it was a part of his and Cassie's relationship. They were like, they liked to bring third parties into their relationships. And so everything's fine. However, this is not what Cassie said in her civil lawsuit that he paid her off the next day. So, government then was saying that it was by force. And when they detained him this week, when they got him this week, they still found that pink powder in his hotel room when they arrested him. Meaning,
so he's still doing it.
Yes. So he still has obviously an issue with narcotics, and he's still doing something because that's the pink cocaine that everybody's been talking about, the MDMA and the coke. So the government says we know that Diddy lies to cover up things because whenever the video of Cassie of him like dragging her through the hotel room came out. He denied it, or I think he denied all of it before. Then the video comes out, and it's like, well, that's obviously you, and that's obviously. So they know they can't trust him.
Yeah.
So you can say this, this, and this, but now, so then this is all what's happening in the courtroom. They're like, yeah, we can't trust you because you obviously said that this didn't happen. Then video comes out saying it did happen. So you're lying. You've been lying. What makes you, why should we believe that you are no longer lying? Because you are lying. And he tried to do all these things. He tried to sell he handed over his passports. He's trying to sell his plane. He sold off his Miami home. He listed his California home for over $60 million. God. So he's trying to do all these things to like get out. And they're like, oh, just let him out and let him just stay at his house.
Freeze his assets. Like, when is that coming? I did, because I was looking up and I was like, is his mom still alive? Like, she is. And she just had a heart attack. Like, has she just been hospitalized.
Are you kidding? She really did.
It was like the summer, yeah. And they're saying due to stress with all this going on, especially if you've been living a great life because of your son's money this whole time. I wouldn't give a shit about that. Put me in a shack. I would be devastated to know that my son, more money, more problems. Signed this deal. He signed a deal with the devil and he became the devil. It is. Oh, man.
So that's the gist.
It's a lot of gist.
That's a lot of gist. And it's just going to keep going. And I can't wait.
But I can see the defense saying, I'm sorry that my client does not have the same sexual preferences as you. I'm sorry that he and his wife, agreed to this, and this is what he does, and I'm sorry that's not what you engage in, but this was consensual.
Yeah,
they chose to take a drink. They chose to keep coming. They chose to keep working for somebody that they are now saying is, I don't know, like it's going to be a good argument.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good argument.
Yeah.
And depending on
I want him to bust Oprah. Because Oprah and the Clintons and the Haiti and all that stuff, like it's all
Haiti?
Connected.
I don't know.
They had
Haiti.
They had that like school in Haiti, and they were trying to get on them kids and all that stuff, and then they got them Haitian migrants all up.
But that's when they'll kill him, when he starts like releasing names. But I don't even know that it'll get.
We'll see what he does.
Okay. Well, there you go. There's your not so quickie.
Not so
full episode on P. Diddy.
We had to do the little bit of the diddly do, diddly dum. So there you go. You're welcome.
Okay, so we're Thursday. We got a full episode. We're staying in Texas for this episode, and I was inspired by Caroline's priest.
Oh,
so
I do have an update on that too. We're gonna talk about Madam Web.
About some priests.
Tune in Thursday because we're talking about the latest tea on preacher's arrests.
Okay,
we're talking about Madam Web.
And I went to John Benet Ramsey's house.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Don't forget to
stay aware,
stay alive,
and always be DTF. Bye, y'all.
Goodbye.
We confused ourselves, but we said it.
Okay,
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support and a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.